Okay. Okay, it's going live.
We are live.
Absolutely. So this has been a crazy week. You see all the stuff coming out of Comdex and not Comdex. Sorry, it's yeah, I know. Comdex is
dating yourself there, Craig.
I know. I used to go to Comdex, and I've been a few times, and love Vegas. Let me just put it that way. Love Vegas. CES is the Consumer Electronics Show, and it released a lot of info. You see everyone talking about it, and we're going to get into some of the things that came out from it. And one of my favorite things, John, was this Rabbit R1 AI powered gadget. Now I'm going to pull it up on the screen here, but this is all the rage. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this one. More excited than the Humane AI pin that released. I feel like this, obviously, it has a screen. It's AI powered. But yeah, let's get into it. So the Rabbit R1, it's a new AI powered gadget. It's supposed to be able to use your apps for you. So it's a standalone device. It's got this little, I think it's 2.5 inch or 3 inch screen, touch screen. A rotating camera and a scroll wheel, so you can interact with the device, which is really much better than Humane. Humane's a great concept. Don't get me wrong. It runs on Rabbit OS, and it's based on a large action model, the LAM, that was trained by humans interacting with apps like Spotify, Uber, different things like that. So the large action model learned how to use these apps and can now apply that knowledge to any app, regardless of the platform. So it can be used to control music, order a car, buy groceries, send messages, and a whole bunch more through this single interface. And what they're saying is that the Rabbit OS is designed to be secure and private, again, but it does require users to log into their various services using its interface, because it's obviously going to be interacting with those various interfaces or those various apps for you, and it's going to need permissions. So really cool, really interesting to see. The only thing, some things to note though, is that it doesn't have a SIM card, so it can't make phone calls, but it can make video calls. So it's not a phone, but its ability, so it's primarily a voice assistant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this looks really interesting, and I love the large language model. And the really interesting stuff doesn't happen till you get way later on in the demo. Like if you can, let me just play the few seconds here of this, about 30 seconds maybe.
But everything, iOS, Android, and desktop. These applications share something in common, the interface. They all have a user interface. So at a philosophical level, if we can make an AI trigger actions on any kind of interface, just like a human would, we will solve the problem. This insight led us to create the large action model, or LAM, as we call it. It is a new foundational model that understands and executes human intentions on computers, driven by our research in neural symbolic systems.
So basically, it can do anything.
Yeah, it can, as long as you can teach it. And the price point is not bad at $200.
Yeah, I went to go see if I could order one, and it's already gone. Like they're already sold out.
They sold out I think it was 10,000 or 100,000 units in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, it was 1,000 or 10,000.
In short,
the article says 1,000, but it's got the comma in the wrong spot. So I don't know if it's because is it a 10,000 or is it?
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah.
The large language model understands what you say, but the large action model gets things done.
Yeah, I think that's the key there, right?
Yeah.
You can use ChatGPT to do certain things, but that give you feedback and all that stuff. This thing can do some amazing things.
Yeah.
I was blown away by this. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But I honestly, if a new batch comes available, I'm going to order it because I'm really interested in some of the cool stuff that this can do. I got all sorts of questions. You know, I see that, you know, rules case, but let's talk about the thing I love the most was training mode.
Yeah.
And, you know, we get to that at the end of the video, and I'm going to silence the video and play some spots that where you can show the device and stuff while we chat.
Yeah.
But this thing was amazing when it was showing him the camera with the 360 camera. He was showing him working on a spreadsheet saying, add a column to this spreadsheet with this data. And it did it and sent it to him via email.
That's crazy, right? Yeah, it's crazy. I don't really know how. Well, there is. He did explain kind of how to use the training mode, but all you have to do is essentially say train rabbit and then demonstrate the task that you want the R1 to learn, and then the R1 will then watch what you do and learn how to perform the task, which is, it blows my mind. Like now we've got some. It's actually doing things now as opposed to giving you answers. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I was just complaining to somebody the other day about, you know, every time I have to do a podcast or a video or whatever, there's so many tasks around it other than just the recording.
Yeah.
You got to add the meta tags. You got to create all the graphics. You got to upload the graphics. You got to compress the graphics. You got to put the metadata on the graphics. You got to post the content on the blog. You've got to do all these things. And a lot of it is like brain numbing because it's just copy and paste. And now with something like this, I can say, okay, take all the files here, upload them, and apply the metadata like I showed you. And bam, you know, that's being done, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. The thought of that is just amazing. So I'm going to have to look at what other large action model agents are out there that might be able to do some of this stuff for me. But yeah, I would say this is more of an on-the-go Wi-Fi powered voice assistant, virtual assistant.
Essentially. And they're like, and we're talking about all the good things. There are some limitations. So there are, from what I understand, there's from as far as complexity goes. So the training mode can only be used to teach the R1 how to perform simple tasks. It can't be used to teach kind of how to perform complex tasks that require reasoning or decision making, which makes sense, right? You're telling it to do something. You're not telling it to make a decision. You're not like, so there's a couple of things. The other thing is it can take some time to teach the R1 how to perform the new task. And again, obviously, when learning anything, it's not always going to be able to perform. It may not always be able to perform the task correctly from the start. You may need to train it multiple times, right? So, which makes sense as far as
absolutely. I've used a bunch of tools like this kind of stuff, Keyboard Maestro, and a few other tools where you're scripting things multiple times. You know, it never works the first time. Oh, you got to do this, do that, and then you adjust for, you got to wait 5 seconds, wait 10 seconds, whatever. You got all these things you have to do. But this just is a leap forward. Yeah, I'm sure I want the whatever the R3 is going to be is probably what I really want versus what this is. But it seems to be slow. This is another interesting sample of use case out of the box by the sounds of it.
This is what I got in the fridge. Can you make me a nice dish that's low in calories?
I love this.
Yeah,
Let me see.
It just takes a little longer than I would like. I know it's got a lot of stuff processing going on there, but we're chatting. How long are we talking? He's standing there.
How about a green garden omelet?
Actually, that's not that bad.
It's a delicious.
I understand. It goes on. But other things will take a while too. When you're, it's not bad, but it's not, I would say, ready for prime time. You know, you're not taking a picture and telling it and then walking around while it's figuring stuff out. You're literally holding there while you're, so
I've been working on for job questionnaire.
Oh yeah, this is the.
Can you create an additional column that matches candidates who mentioned rabbit in their questions about how they found us?
You notice he's got his camera facing the Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's processing, and it's doing a lot of work. So don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
I've processed the table and sent you an email with the results.
This is a fairly.
Okay. Now let's check our email.
this is a fairly intensive task. I've got this data here, add another column with this other data. So is that data already in the spreadsheet? Is the data already somewhere else? I've got to remake that sheet unless I know what that sheet is, add all the data back in based on the picture, add the new column, save the file, and send it to you. That's a lot of actions.
Yeah. It's
And then he asks for more changes. He just emails it back saying, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Update this, update that. And it goes ahead and does it, which is fantastic. So yeah, I love the concept of this. It's just amazing.
Yeah, the potential is, I see the potential for this much more than the potential for that humane AI pin.
Yeah, and they're trying to outpace it and get this out before the AI pin. He's teaching it how to create Midjourney, how to use Midjourney to create art. And right now he's teaching it how to create a baby wild dog with big eyes, whatever. And that's great. So he teaches them how to do that. But at some point, it'll be easy enough just to pass a variable and say, okay, now go in there and create, whatever, Rabbit R1 AI powered gadget art for this podcast.
Exactly.
And off it goes, right? Eventually you'll be able to tell it those things. And maybe it won't be able to make decisions for you, but it can insert variables and you're going to have to train it along the way. But this is a very interesting step. And I don't know how complicated the training is. He makes it look very easy, but I can't imagine it's nearly as easy as they say.
Yeah, it's apparently it takes the time it takes to teach a new task can vary depending on the complexity of the task, obviously. So for simple tasks such as opening a specific app or sending a message, it might only take a few minutes. For more complex tasks, obviously, it's going to take longer. But what they're saying is that in general, you can expect around 5 to 10 minutes of teaching for a new task, which isn't too bad.
No, that's actually really good. A task, again, is usually a complex state of actions. It's not actually one thing.
Yeah.
Like making coffee is not one thing. You got to get up, go to the kitchen, get the coffee out, maybe grind the beans, measure it, get the filter, get the water, put in the pump. Like there's 1,000 things. And you're saying it takes 5 to 10 minutes to tell it to go make coffee. That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's really, and it's really going to get people, if this really takes off, which I think it will, it's going to get people to really think about their day-to-day tasks and how they do things and different things like that. Cause they're going to have to break it down for this thing. Right.
Absolutely. And, I use a lot of different tools and I need to update my tools because I've updated Mac OS and a lot of my stuff are outdated now. But to help automating things like text expander and 1Password and a bunch of other things that help, even Keyboard Maestro and Hazel, which is a Mac tool for file management stuff. When stuff's in a certain directory, it'll automatically do stuff or name stuff a certain thing, and it'll do a bunch of things for you. Now, having something that you can train to do the things you want, like especially if you on a day-to-day basis, focusing on the things that take up the most of your time and say, okay, how do I streamline this? Like the creative part is here and the creative part is done. Like I create the script, I create the video, I know what's going on, but now I got to create graphics. I got to put metadata in. I got to upload. I got to compress. Those are all just stuff. That takes really no thinking. It's just a repeatable thing. So I'd be able to say I'd probably be able to get it to create the graphics for me because they're pretty straightforward. Get it to at the size I want, compress them, upload them to my website and apply the metadata. I might not actually get them to be able to put it in the post, but all that stuff alone would save me, 15, 20 minutes or more per blog post, if not longer, so that's an amazing savings.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. And this is where I see, and this is where a lot of things this is where AI can just help. It's not going to take over. It's going to help with the mundane kind of tasks.
Absolutely. When you can walk around, I can take a picture of something and say, okay, write a entrepreneurial quote to go with this picture and then send it out to all my social media platforms, tagging this person, this person, this person, and off it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a bunch of things that I was thinking of, like marketing professionals they can use to create, manage marketing campaigns, track results, measure ROI, like to track their sales pipeline, schedule appointments, send follow-up emails. You can use this to prepare reports if you're in the finance world or just whatever, anything. Like there's so many, there's an infinite number of use cases for this, which I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this feels like a such a great, and it's in its infancy,
Yeah.
but we're getting out of, like, the one thing it did that you're talking about all the time is what you want to do is you want to be able to recognize who's in the room and let you know. He
Yeah.
did that one, hold up the camera to the poster of Rick Astley and just started playing Never Gonna Give You Up. Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say
From
Rick
Astley,
rolling.
right? Yeah. So it obviously recognized who he was. So you could probably have your own database of people that it would recognize and get it to do certain things for you. But it's a little weird having to do this and holding it up to show people.
Yeah. This would be great if it could integrate with some sort of XR glasses or augmented reality glasses or something like that you would wear that look normal but give you some info. But
yeah, and I like this over the pin we were talking about, the humane pin. Because the big thing issue I had with the humane pin was there's no proper interface to deal with stuff with it.
Yeah.
With this, you've got the camera, you got a push button, you've got the screen, the touch screen. It's a voice control. You got the wheel, as well as you can go back to your computer and program it there.
Exactly.
So that's a lot of interface rather than just voice like the humane pin has.
Are we bringing back the BlackBerry scroll wheel now?
Well, somebody is by the looks of it. We'll see how this is going to be very interesting. It jumped ahead of, I think it's jumping ahead of all the competition.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll have to see what the future holds. This article on the screen is from The Verge, by the way, just to give them credit for this, but there's articles all over the place. And as you can see here, Rabbit announced the initial, it says 1,000, but it looks like it's 10,000.
Yeah.
I'll click on the link. Hey, 10,000. It just had the comma in the wrong place. Yeah, it sells 10,000 over 2 days. That's
2 days.
Yeah, significant demand. They're going to be able to raise a crap ton of money to move forward with this now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see real world when it comes out, like if it actually lives up to the hype. That's the thing, right?
Absolutely. This was a great demo. But how many times have we seen that the demo doesn't quite work up? Like we saw, what was that competitor to Tesla, Nikoloff? Was it
Rivian or Nikola?
Nikola. They not Rivian. Rivian's working. They had this video of their truck and it was going and everyone loved it. But it turns out it was going downhill and they just did it this way and it didn't exist and they were raising money for this thing. And so, but you get this demo video that looks great.
Yes. Well, then you also have Google's Gemini when they faked all of their
absolutely demo. That whole demo, we talked about it. And you mentioned that, it sounds like some of it might've been fake. Now, this is a demo, 2 months. They're talking about delivery in March for this product. So, the actual release, will it be better? Will it be as good? I don't know, but I am really excited. It's about the first device I'm really excited about in a long time.
Yeah, me too.
I think it can change a lot of things and get us moving in the right direction for AI. And I think this will boost productivity. This type of thing, the large action model, whether it's R1, and I'm not particular about a hardware device because you could stick a large action model in the back end and just have a software app and interface with it on any of your devices. So, but that whole thing of being able to teach it to do things, all of a sudden, becomes a fantastic tool for solopreneurs, small business owners, anybody really. But when you're wearing so many hats and you've got 1,000 things to do, it'll be really nice to have something like this to be able to actually help you do all those things. Like there's a lot of different AI tools that do one thing, but having something that can interface and teach a device, go into Hootsuite and create my 30-day monthly social media calendar for me, and I'll just go in and approve it. You know, you got to teach it some things around that, but that's a massive amount of work that you could really get an AI to do once it understands graphics, create the text, create the links, go in and 30 days worth of stuff. Here you go. And, you know, I don't have one social media account. I got a lot. So that becomes a work you can hand off. And you think about that for all the work people do in any sort of environment. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what comes of this. So we'll have to see. Yeah.
And if anyone gets one out there, let me know. I'd love to take a look at it, get my hands on one in a bit. If they come back on sale, make sure I'm aware, because I definitely want to jump on and potentially take advantage of something like this.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Yeah. I'd love to geek out on this.
So let's jump on to our next story. These auto-focusing glasses.
Yeah. So the ViXion, ViXion01 glasses. I don't know how to pronounce that. They're a new type of eyewear that uses a front-facing time-of-flight sensor, which measures the distance of a target object and quickly adjusts the lens on the go. So it allows the wearer to see objects clearly at both far and close distances without having to manually focus their eyes. The glasses apparently were designed for people who struggle to focus their eyes due to strain, old age, or even time of day. But they can also be beneficial for people who work on detailed tasks, such as model kit assembly or reading small print. I know I have trouble reading small print nowadays, so that would be helpful. Apparently, they're lightweight, comfortable to wear. They have a 10-hour battery life, charge via USB-C, and they're water resistant. And they're currently available for pre-order, I think it's around $700. But that's just in Japan. They didn't talk about any plans for an overseas launch just yet.
So it talks about this person who was demoing it had myopia around negative 45D. And now I don't negative 4.5D. Sorry. I don't quite understand how bad or good that is. But does this mean that I can use these instead of my glasses?
No, I don't think so, because I think that they're not current. Well, hold on. Let me rephrase that. They're not currently available with a prescription lens. So that means that people who need corrective lenses will not be able to use the glasses. So I'm not an optometrist, so I'm not sure what if you need cheaters, I think that's what they're called. This might help with cheaters. I don't know. Yeah, apparently if you need prescription lenses, this isn't for you, apparently, right now.
So these go about $690 US by the looks of it. And the lens looks small. Like I'm looking at this, you see the picture on the screen.
Yeah.
You have to look through that small of a thing.
Well, you're not going to notice it when it's right up at your eyes. The thing I'm worried about,
I guess so.
As I just saw a video the other day on TikTok on people who wear glasses, and that you shouldn't wear your glasses all the time if you don't have to. Like if you only need them for reading, only use them for reading, because apparently your eyes get lazy, and so the more you wear them, the more the worse your vision could get, and that's what I'm worried about with these things.
Yeah, and I don't know. I look left to right with my eyes. I'm not always looking straight forward, so I guess it's for small. I'm just trying to figure out who it's for, because it's not for casual wear by the sound of it, because your peripheral vision will suffer looking at those lenses. Like there's going to be a circle somewhere you can't. So it's for people doing focused work with something in front of them.
Maybe for driving.
Reading. I would say not. I don't know. I haven't tried them on, but this looks like it would interfere with your peripheral vision.
Yeah, this isn't one that I'm really too excited about, but I do think that like it seems like there's some use cases for it. Again, like there's thousands of products that get released at CES every year, and not every product makes it is successful, right? And but again, we're no experts. There must be a use case because they've gotten this to a place where they can sell it in Japan, right? So there must be a demand for it.
I could see, like, if you're a dentist, you know, they have those, or, you know, anything where you're small artist, that kind of stuff. But it seems like a limited use case. But again, this is in its infancy. If you could actually make the lenses smaller but cover the whole glass, my disappointment with things like Apple Vision, which is coming out soon, is that you've got to get if you have glasses, you have to get specialized lenses built specifically for this, put inside them. And at this point, I feel like with this type of electronics, and you're talking about a screen close to you, why can't we build my eye problem into the software? You know what I mean? That this has to be pixelated at a certain level where my right eye is slightly different. My eyes are different
there
for prescription. But my point being is, why isn't software doing this? And I think this is a step in the right direction for, we're going to eventually have universal glasses that just adjust to my eyes. So I can just go do, get it clear, and off I go. But I don't know how far that is. I think this is a leap. I'm interested in seeing, like, we need this type of technology in any sort of the VR glasses that people want us to use, so that glass-enabled people can wear them. Otherwise, it's going to be a hard sell. And I 100% agree with you on that. I find the more I use my glasses, the more blurry things are when I take them off, and it just becomes, you're right, it's lazy. And more so with my newer glasses, because my other glasses were they were a little wide in the head, so they kept slipping off. So I would only put them on when I needed them versus walk. And now I notice I wear these all the time, and I notice a big difference when I take them off.
For sure. Yeah, I think so. There is technology out there that I think they're using it in cell phones right now. They're liquid lenses, which can be adjusted, right? And I think that if we get to that technology, if we can scale that to glasses, that's where we're going to get the adjustable lenses, real-time adjustable lenses that are clear, that look just like regular glasses.
What do you think some of the potentials are beyond vision correction, like we've been talking about?
Beyond vision correction, like there's like, I don't know. It could be used for bird watching, maybe, so that you don't need binoculars. Who knows? Like, is there a zoom on these? I'm not sure. If there is, that's great. That could be used. It could be used for enhanced productivity, so eliminating the need to, which is weird, but it's kind of making people lazy, eliminating the need to manually focus the eyes, so you could potentially stay focused on tasks for longer periods of time. Obviously, it's going to make it easier to work on a computer, because with different size fonts, different resolutions, things like that. But I have a question for you. When you're working on your computer, do you use dark mode, or do you use light mode, or do you mix between the two?
My computer automatically switches at a certain time.
Okay.
So
I always use dark mode. I find it much better for eye strain, at least.
It looks more yellowy, and I don't like that look.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, I'm thinking, I'm not necessarily thinking dark mode. I'm thinking, what was that where they stopped using the blue light and they switched
contrast?
No, they've added in these things that the blue light is what keeps you up. So they've added software in them in the last few years you can adjust the blue light so everything goes a little bit different. But yeah, what you're saying,
I'm just saying dark, like a dark background with white font.
Definitely. It depends. It depends what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I prefer dark mode on a lot of apps, but there's some apps I don't.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, if they're doing it right, but yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Like right now, I'm using StreamYards here. I don't think it's not in dark mode. I've got Google Doc in the background, not in dark mode, but I got drafts in dark mode and 2 other apps in dark mode. So, you know, I definitely use that. I try to use that in the evenings because I have sleeping issues, so that, you know, when I'm looking at a computer in the evening, it's not blasting me full of that stuff. But
Yeah.
this stuff looks interesting. I like the idea of, you know, adding something like this eventually to our R1 type of AI, where you're just looking around and it can automatically respond, like you were saying. So this is there's no heads up display in this. It's just an auto focusing magnification of some sort. So if you're reading and you're struggling, you can see the letters more clear, like having a magnifying glass or rolling one of those. Remember, you used to have those magnifying rulers that you'd roll over your stuff on the desk, things like that, where you can see more. I know once in a while I have to use my camera on my iPhone to take a picture of something, and then I'll blow up the picture to read it because my eyes, I can't read whatever this is.
Yeah, so this can be used for that, right?
Absolutely, but it's $700, right? So you have to be needing that a fair bit. So this is great first run. It's interesting. We'll have to see what the next steps of this types of technology is.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, so I think the biggest problem with these that they're facing is the battery life. So if you're going to use it for the whole day, if you need to use it for the whole day, they only last for 10 hours, right? So there's no charging case or anything like that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they. I'm curious as to why the battery capacity is only 10 hours based on the usability of it, right? Is it because they're constantly adjusting? Is that why? I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because they're not little screens in there; it's opticals, right?
Yeah. So I know the time of flight lens at the camera at the front is constantly on, but that can't drain too much battery. Maybe it doesn't.
But we've talked about different battery technologies. That's improving. I'm sure once they figure out a powered case, then that becomes less of an issue. And the battery life on things become, once you can put it in a case for a half hour and get fully charged or come close to it, you're good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like there are other use cases too, like gaming. You could create a more immersive virtual reality experience or see objects in the game more clearly. Surgeons could use it to see more clearly during surgery. I think that would be a great use case. Surgeries, well, there are some that last 10 hours, but most are under 10 hours. So there's a lot of different use cases for sure.
Absolutely. At the beginning, I mentioned dentists but doctors, going in there when they're looking inside you, doing different anything like that. Where you have to focus on something, and adding a little logic to this where you can actually get it to zoom in on something or someone in a crowd or in a I guess in a doctor's on an organ or whatnot would be very useful. And like I said, this is a really cool technology. It's just not, what I want yet. I want the 3rd or 4th generation down the road from this, that I don't have to buy new glasses again because it automatically adjusts, or I can run a program to automatically adjust it or whatever, like your printer where you realign the and be able to eventually get a heads up display in this. So the concept is good. We're just early stages.
Yeah, early stages. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, great concept. We'll see. We'll have to see where it goes for sure.
So let's jump to this next one, which is also very interesting.
Yeah.
BMW is working with Amazon and replacing the driver's manual with AI. And it's not just the driver's manual, is it?
No, it's a chat bot apparently. And first off, the second I hear Amazon, I worry about data privacy. So That's the first thing that comes to mind. But they're partnering to replace the traditional driver's manual, but also more with an AI chatbot, and it's going to be integrated into the vehicle's infotainment system, and it's like a chat GPT for your car kind of thing. It'll allow drivers to ask questions about their car, receive real-time information. Apparently it can answer questions about a variety of topics, including how to use specific features of the car, how to troubleshoot problems, how to perform maintenance, different things like that. And apparently it'll be able to take actions on behalf of the driver, such as changing the drive mode or adjusting the climate control, which I don't see where the innovation is there, because you can do that now with your cars. But maybe it'll be smarter. I don't know. So apparently the reason why they're doing this is to make it easier for drivers to learn about their cars and how to operate them safely, and hopefully reduce distractions, I guess. So I tried to do a deeper dive into this, and there wasn't too much more information, but because it's still under development and expected to be available in the coming years. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they actually come out with.
Sorry, you couldn't hear that, right?
No.
Yeah, cool. I was just trying to silence this while
I heard something, but
yeah, there was an ad starting to play there for a bit.
yeah.
So he's talking to it in this video. It's a little slow to respond, but it's interesting. He's asking about performance mode and different things. So I guess you can get it to tell you which mode you should be in for your appropriate. He says, I'm driving down the strip. What mode should I be in? And it's like, oh, let's do performance mode because we can rev real loud and we can do this and we can do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure that's the right answer, but it's an answer, because it wouldn't maybe be fuel economy mode or this mode or that mode. But apparently it was strut your stuff mode that they chose. He was talking about the auto parking feature. Now, with the auto parking feature, can you tell the AI to auto park for you rather than pressing a button?
I guess, and that would make sense. But why? Again, this comes down to, why would you want to, when it's just a press of a button? Why would you want to have to say, hey, chatbot, can you auto park my car for me, when you can just press a button?
Yeah, this comes back to, is it actually going to help? And it sounds, I think it'll help in a little way, because I don't know how many cars I've gone into where the clock is wrong and they don't know how to reprogram it, or they haven't plugged in the radio stations or whatever. It's like, I guess an AI would help you do that, because it would walk you through it. But because people don't open up the user's manual. But how would it help you change your oil or check your fluids? Like, is it talking like you're outside the car looking at the...
Yeah, where I see it being actually helpful is if they integrate AR with this. So and I know they have this, you hold up your phone to the car itself, and it'll say, this is where the oil, the dipstick is. This is where you put the oil in. This is where you put the windshield washer fluid in. It's got labels based on the engine that you're holding it up to.
Yeah, and so we'll have to see how this turns out to be. But I'm curious as to, have they really thought this through? We talked about that car dealership you mentioned on a previous episode that introduced a chatbot on the website to sell vehicles, and ended up selling something for how much?
I can't remember. They sold like a ridiculous car for like a few dollars or something.
Yeah, and they made it say it was legally binding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, go ahead.
Good. I worry about, the more you start interfacing with driving mode, parking mode, all this other stuff into AI computers where it can switch it for you automatically. Now, mind you, I'm just fooling myself, because these cars are all software driven. It can happen automatically anyway. The bigger the attack surface is, we've talked about this again when we talk about security, for people to take over your car, do stuff with it. Now, what are the concerns around security?
Yeah, there's around security. There's so much. I don't think they've thought this through, because there's so many potential use cases as far as security measures that they're going to have to implement to protect the driver from unauthorized access and use. Because like you've got a 0-day exploit, and boom, your car can be taken over just like that. It's more difficult nowadays, right? Well, it's more difficult previous to all this integration, but the second that they integrate this right into the car, there's multiple points of entry that someone could get into. That the more that they add, the more tech they add that works within the cloud or that is communicating, the more potential security threats there are. So, and how, to me, based on what I've seen, like, what is the difference? I can see a little bit more of a help that this might have, but I don't see it exponentially being that they need to integrate this and get rid of the user manual. I don't see that.
Well, they're talking about getting rid of the user manual, so I'm not sure if it's going to save anything in that point of view. I'm also concerned about, we've had a lot of leaks when you talk about data privacy in large language models. You're using ChatGPT, people are pulling private information that from different companies because corporations were just dumping their stuff in there to help me format my technical document. And all of a sudden you got patents and all this stuff in ChatGPT that it's pulling out and giving to other people. So what about my address, my information, the stuff I'm doing, the stuff I'm asking about, where I'm going? Like, is any of this information going different places that can be now used by other people?
Exactly. So the car manufacturers are going to have to be transparent about the data that they collect and how they use it. And they should also obtain consent from the drivers before collecting and using data. They also, the other question is, what happens if there's a crash and the AI makes and it's because the AI system makes a mistake? How do we ensure that like, who's responsible in that case, right? So is it the person who asked the question to get the AI to do it, or is it like, where do we draw the line? There's so many ethical concerns when it comes to this too.
So putting the ethical, data privacy, and security concerns aside, what do we see as some of the potential applications of AI in cars beyond self-driving?
So we could see some improved safety features, providing real-time information about the surroundings. There could be, this doesn't need AI, but there could, I think Audi has this, or Land Rover, into the windscreen or windshield. They're tracking things in real time. It can be, to detect pedestrians or other vehicles in the blind spot. It can be used to warn drivers of potential hazards. Enhanced infotainment systems, so you could have personalized recommendation for music, movies, and other things. You could have more efficient and environmentally friendly vehicles. So you could have an AI-powered system into the car to optimize the car's fuel consumption, reduce emissions. And with all of this data, this new data that they're gathering, they could develop new innovative powertrain technologies based on getting data from these AI systems. So the other thing is predictive maintenance. So instead of, you got to get your car oil change now it's 10,000 kilometers, but it could be more of based on your use, this is when you should be getting your car oil changed now, as opposed to on a set schedule kind of thing. So help to avoid unexpected breakdowns. Like, you don't know how worn down your brake pads are until you bring it in. This way you can monitor that. So
when are we going to see AIs or things in vehicles connecting with things like Rabbit and AI, a large action model, and being able to actually get your car to do stuff for you?
Well, you can now. That's the thing. This is why I don't see why this is such big things, because like in my car, I can say, hey, do this or do that, and it'll do it, right? Obviously, I can't train new things, but most vehicles nowadays do have some sort of interface. Like, you've got Ford Sync, you've got Yeah, you've got all these different interfaces. So again, I'm not seeing the innovation, the huge innovation here, and maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, that was one thing. The first kind of half of the R1 demo was okay. You know, he's telling it to asking it to play music and whatever, like we do with every device now.
Yeah.
But he's getting some interesting information back and forth that we wouldn't normally get. But then it takes it into the next level. So when can I get to the point of, I don't know what I'd want to do, but hey, car, book me a parking spot or a parking space at where I'm headed, 10 minutes before I get there. I automatically tell the person I want my car washed or whatever. That's just car related. What about then book me a restaurant, then do this, then do that, or even some of the stuff in the interface where we're saying, can you update my presentation for me for the meeting I'm about to head to? Change the the front page to represent who I'm talking to now versus who I talked to last or whatever. When are we going to see that kind of thing?
Well, here's the thing: is where I see the value in this is like if you're driving, you need to send an email for specifically for this infotainment AI stuff. Is integrating the functionality of the R1 into that as far as emails and different things like that go. That makes more sense.
Yeah, and keep in mind that not everyone in a vehicle is driving.
No.
So although we're focused on the driver for most of this stuff, if you're in a carpool and 3 other people can actually interact and do potential things that aren't the driver, you've got some very interesting things that can be done.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could do some searches. You could
actually get a lot of work done if you've got an action AI connected somehow via the car. But I guess at this point you would just use your own action AI or whatnot, or whip up your laptop or whatever. But the concept of having this in the car that can go beyond the car, and go into your life, whatever that means. Get me theater tickets, asking it information about stuff, and most of the stuff they'll go back if you say, who was the star of Oppenheimer, most of the stuff will come back and tell you now. So when they did those examples, that's nothing new.
No. The one thing, you want to know the one use case I do see for these companies integrating AI is a new business model, a SaaS business model where you're going to have to pay a monthly service fee to access these features.
Absolutely. And it's going to be per interface. You get like 5 interfaces for $10 a month, and up 15 for $20 a month or whatever, because you want to be interacting with all these things and eventually become unaffordable for the stuff I want to do, because I want it connected to everything, to do my job, to do a lot of the mindless tasks. Like I said, creating graphics, creating files, potentially helping me respond to emails, drafting up a bunch of stuff, uploading, changing things, doing stuff in software, physically clicking buttons. That takes time. You know how long it takes me to send out an invite to something like this on LinkedIn? You can scroll through to get 800 people plus invited. That takes like 15 minutes. Click, 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 just scroll, click, click. That's crazy.
Mundane, yeah.
And that's what I mean by we can really automate a lot of this stuff with some of these cool new tools that I have a fire lit on me to check out some new large action models to see what else is out there, because Rabbit can't be the only one, to see what I can start integrating and playing around with, because that sounds really fun. I'm not looking forward to BMW putting AI into their car, but we'll see. It is the next generation where to go. And I think the vision glasses were interesting, but not really a huge leap forward yet.
There's a start. And BMW is notorious, if you don't know already, but they've already tried to make you subscribe for heated seats or different things like that. So I'm just, so we're gonna have to see where they go with this.
Yeah, we talked about the subscription model before, and the fact that they can shut stuff. You won't be able to roll down your windows and do stuff because that's a feature that
Yeah.
You didn't pay for this month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where this is going.
Yeah.
What
As
do you
much
got
as
to
I
promote?
love tech, some of the things that I'm worried about is going forward is like I would rather have a dumb car where I just plug in my phone, which I have, but you plug in my phone and I've got Google working, right? And that's all I need. Like I want all the features right away. I don't want to pay a monthly fee. So we're gonna have to see. What the people are willing to pay for and what they're not willing to pay for, and what they're willing to accept and not willing to accept going forward, right? With all this new tech.
Absolutely, and add value. I just did on today's Ask the Startup Coach podcast. It's all about when to pivot,
Yeah.
and it's when your revenue streams aren't working for you. You don't just say, oh, this, and this, but where do you add value?
Mm-hmm.
Where can you help the consumer get what they want faster? I was talking to somebody about Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast is Hasbro. They laid off a bunch of people. They have failed at a lot of things. And, I just said, this is a no-brainer. If I was in charge of Wizards of the Coast when COVID hit, I would have been said, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to offer a subscription online D&D service where you can sign up and within 10 minutes be playing in an active group.
Yeah.
Make it easy. Have the DMs do DM certification, online DM certification with their tools, with this, so you can pay to take the training courses. You pay the DMs to do this. You join a thing for a monthly fee, and you're playing D&D within minutes. Now you have a group that you can go back. Like, who wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
But no, we can't. And yeah, that becomes a monthly fee that you can have so many groups or so many this or so many that. And you pay $10 a month for a low end one, $20 for a higher end one, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, this becomes a thing that easily is a revenue model that the diehards would go for. But instead, they started screwing around with their OGL, and they started wanting to charge. They changed their agreement and their license that caused a huge uproar, and then they pulled back. Now no one trusts them anymore. Yeah, so this is what you want to just charge extra for heated seats, or charge for this, charge for that.
Yeah.
If
It's
it's already in the car, it's a concern, right? It's like you already paid for the car, it's already in there. But now they're saying, well, if you paid more for the car, got the model upgraded, you'd have the heated seats, but or you can do the software upgrade or this monthly service. I'm not sure that's adding value.
No, I don't think so.
But if they did something that actually added value, I don't know what off the top of my head. Say it's BMW. From an AI perspective, let's say we have a theater package where our AI will find you parking, theater tickets, dinner before, blah, 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 a concierge service that charges X and charge you X for that. Okay. You're giving an add-on service that people will or will not pay for, and you can play with what's in those things, but it's not something that should already be part of the product.
No, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
All right. What do you got to promote, John?
Oh, nothing. Just if you want some funds, zero interest loan to change your digital footprint online, software, hardware, reach out. See that. More than happy to help.
Yeah, what I've been thinking about what I want to do a series of videos with you on government funding, and we'll just do one topic per video. We'll do one on MyTac Q&A, one on this Q&A. I'd like to do one on CDAP, maybe get you and another expert in. I don't know, it's up to you. We'll talk about it where we can.
The three that I'm really good on now is Scale AI, which we should talk about because you can get $1 million to $3 million, and the OCI C2C, which is a really good program too. So. There's a couple ones, and CDAP and MyTax for sure. Yeah, there's a few. Let's do it.
Yeah, send me the list of those like the ones you want to talk about it, and let's start booking them.
Let's do it. Love it.
And for those of you watching, you can join John and I at startupdrinksto.com. January 25th is our next one. There's one almost every month. So check that out. We're in person. It's open bar, open pitch. You get to talk to investors. You get to talk to mentors. You get to talk to all sorts of interesting people. If you want to work with me, go to startupcoach.ca, book a discovery call, and we can chat about how working with a startup coach could help your business. Check out mentoringmagic.ca. By the time this goes out, it'll be posted. February 14th, we are doing a co-founder matchup in-person event. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're looking for a co-founder or someone to help you take your startup to the next level, come out and join us then. All this and more can be found on torontostarts.com. And we got Startup Face Off on Monday, which is a debate. I think you're there for that.
I am. I think I'm invited. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. I can't remember. And the startup pitch battle on the following Monday. So, which is startups pitching. We've got Oot coming out to pitch and a few other startups. So the thing with startup pitch battle is the audience decides the winner. So come on out. You get to vote and choose who wins. Thanks for being part of Future Tech podcast, and we'll see you again soon.
Take care, guys.